Hello, everybody, and welcome back to English Mastery Hub and our series IELTS Insights. To find the IELTS program on English Mastery Hub, you need to, of course, have registered on the site, and you can go to courses and subscribe to the IELTS course, which is what I'm going to do today to open the IELTS course, which is found on the bottom of the courses page. There is a basic subscription fee, and then you may open all the different quizzes and exercises that we have looked at over the past few weeks, the IELTS reading exercises, the IELTS speaking exercises, IELTS listening, and today we are looking at IELTS writing. Next week we will address IELTS speaking, and at the end there is a mock exam. So IELTS writing, which I'm going to open now, we have here divided into task 1 and task 2. Task 1 for general and academic is a different task. Today I am going to address task 1 academic, which says summarize, describe, or explain information given in a graph, table, chart, or diagram. So the things that you need to look at, I will address when we've opened the graph. You need to write an introduction and the body of an essay, and this is very important. Do not write a conclusion unless you are asked to give your opinion. Because if you write a conclusion when you are not asked for one, you are going to lose marks. You are only asked to state the facts in this particular case as presented in the graph. So that is a point to remember. Let's start our quiz by clicking on Start Quiz and see one of the examples that we can find. So here we have a line graph. And so the first thing you need to do when you're looking at your graph and when you start writing is give a brief introduction of what you see overall in this graph. So I would say the line graph gives us a picture of international students enrolled in 4 different countries. So on the left-hand side here on the x-axis, we see the number of students, or should I say on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, we see the different countries portrayed in different colors. So easy to see, and by far the number of international students looks to be the most in the United States. The graph below shows the number, or the graph in this case above, shows the number of international students enrolled in 4 different countries between the years of 2010 and 2020. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. And then you have a block to write in. So what you need to do when you're looking at a graph, you describe the overall, which has been done here for you. It isn't always done for you. And then you describe the key features, the highs, the lows, the changes. For example, what happened here? The number of international students in the United States became high, plateaued, and then all of a sudden dropped down. I wonder what happened there. Was this, doesn't look like it was during COVID, so it can't have been explained by COVID. We don't know the reason, and we are not required to give a reason. We are merely required to state what has happened. So remember, highs, lows, changes, and general trends. Now, in order to do that, you need to be familiar with words such as twice as many students were enrolled in the United Kingdom as were in Canada, for instance, or twice as many, half as many. So these are quantities. And then you need to be able to describe trends with words such as skyrocketed, plummeted, plateaued, fluctuated, up, down, up, down. So you need to make yourself familiar with those type of words to be able to use them in your essay. And that is the first task in the writing section. The second task, and yes, I have to leave the quiz in order to show you. The second task is an academic essay. First of all, I want to point out the first task is 20 minutes long. The second task has been allocated twice as much time and gets you more points. Therefore, when you get to the end of your 20 minutes, switch over to essay 2 because you don't want to spend a lot of time continuing on essay 1 and perhaps not have enough time to finish essay number 2. So in essay number 2, the task is the same for academic and general. It requires a 250-word essay. Now, generally, there's a word count, so you're not expected to sit and manually count the words. And there are several different styles that the essay can be written in. For today, I'm going to talk about the 4-paragraph essay because this is the most common format that is used in the essay. There are different questions that can be asked. First of all, the topic could be they make a statement and ask you to give your opinion. Secondly, they could provide a problem and ask you to give solutions to the problem. And thirdly, they could ask you for the advantages and disadvantages of a particular thing. In all of these cases, you need to start off with an introduction where you rephrase the statement or the question at hand. And then once you've done that, you go into your second paragraph, which is where you state your advantages, for example. The third paragraph, you state your disadvantages. And then the fourth paragraph, you give a conclusion. Now, if they ask for your opinion in the conclusion, you can say, well, we've looked at the advantages and disadvantages, so I feel that. The way that they mark these essays is 0 to 9, so you cannot fail, but we are looking to get 7, between 7, 7.5. And so you need to be conscious of organizing, creating a structure for your essay, that it flows logically from one point to another. You need to pay particular attention to your grammar and your vocabulary, because if you spell words wrong, you will lose points for that. And then the most important thing is to actually answer the question. Do you know how many students read a question and then go off on a tangent and describe something that doesn't answer the question? And in that case, you will score very poorly. So please be sure that you know what is being asked and that your essay answers the question. I hope these tips and insights will help you, and I look forward to seeing you on English Mastery Hub again next week.